Hey guys, welcome back for another episode of the Suited Shootist. What I do want to talk about, like the thumbnail suggests, is a technique that I've seen discussed when it comes to carrying a concealed firearm under a tucked-in shirt. Now, if you follow the channel for any period of time, you know that my preferred method these days for this is deep carry, because that way it eliminates having to actually clear the cover garment since the gun is worn entirely below the belt line. But that's not everybody's flavor. Either they don't have a variety of guns that allows them to do that, or they prefer a more conventional carry setup. Because honestly, unless you're running like the Enigma or something a little bit older school, like a Smart Carry or Thunderwear, that deep carry setup those are really the only ways to do it. So, in the Filster Workshop, have discussed this technique where basically for a tucked-in shirt, you take the strong side shirt tail, whichever side you're carrying the pistol on, and then you flip that up so it's just hanging over the belt line, which effectively gives you a grab handle to ostensibly more effectively and more efficiently clear the cover garment to get access to the pistol. I was never sold on the idea, and now it could be just the fact that I had enough time carrying a pistol under a tucked-in shirt before this technique came to light that I was just habituated to it. But I decided to put it on the clock and see if there really was a difference to it. And so what I did was, I've got the Mantis X system, and so just with use their holster analysis, because that's kind of the best way to get just a series of draw to first hit times, or in this case draw to first shot times, because there wasn't really a target being used per se. And disclaimer right out the gate, especially because I know number one, the internet loves to criticize, and because it's relevant to this. I was not using a target area per se, because what I was interested in doing here was measuring if there was an appreciable difference in time. Now, I did not break a shot unless I had the dot in the window, but it was just a patch of wall that I was drawing to, so it was not a particularly challenging. It's not like I was shooting at an A zone. Basically, it was kind of like a C zone steel size area that I was bringing the gun into at relatively close distance. But again, that's not what I was measuring. All I was concerned with was the time. So if you're familiar with the Mantis interface, some of the other numbers that you're seeing are not particularly impressive or noteworthy, because that's not what I was focused on. Now that that's out of the way, what I did was I did 5 dry reps with my conventional tucked-in configuration, and then I did 5 dry reps with the shirt tail trick to see kind of comparatively what the difference was. And then, just to make sure, I went back and I did another 5 reps of my conventional technique, just to kind of even things out, make sure that it wasn't just because I had gotten more reps in that maybe the tail thing was more effective, or vice versa. And when we look at the numbers, it looks that there is a slight difference in terms of the shirt tail trick being just a smidge faster. Now, just because something is measurable does not necessarily mean that it's significant. But the point of this is simply that, for my purposes, I think that having that shirt tail hanging is still a little bit too obvious and obtrusive. It breaks the norm of what you expect to see. And so my thinking there is that the additional attention that the shirt tail hanging out could potentially draw doesn't justify the 1/10 of a second gain in draw speed that it average, roughly seems to deliver. So that's the take. Um, I don't think it's bullshit. I don't really think it's brilliant either. It's a thing. Now, for some consideration, the main reason that I don't like the shirt tail hack is this: it reduces the target size that you're trying to hit. And I think that's really a relevant consideration to factor in, because if you watch my video, when I draw, I'm literally just grabbing a handful of shirt at the belt line, making a fist, and pulling up. Um, with the shirt tail, you're trying to grab a little flag of fabric, and if you miss, then hopefully you still get enough material that you're basically doing my version of it anyway. So I don't see there being a sufficient upside to really justify it. But if you are new to wearing a gun under a tucked-in shirt, it may be worth exploring. If you've already got your system down, I don't really see there being enough juice to justify the squeeze. But I'm interested to hear what you guys think, because again, the entire point of this is to try and help shorten people's learning curves. There's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of good information out there. It's not necessarily all relevant to everybody. So, as such, I think that it's worth talking about, because this is one of those things where it's almost really drilling down into the minutia and arguing how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. So that's my take. Is it a thing? Yes. I don't think it's a particularly useful or helpful thing, but your mileage may vary. So if you've tried it, I want to hear that down in the comments. If you have any questions on carrying a gun in dress clothes, or specifically under a tucked-in shirt, I've got a few videos on that, and put that down there as well, because I'm always more than happy to help people out. Other than that, I hope everybody has a fantastic week. Stay dangerous and stay sharp.